Okay, let's recap the last chapter we read. So in the last chapter, we had Cecile arrested. She denies the girls are her kids, and she says, "Oh no, those girls are from the Clark family." And Delphine pretends to be from the Clark family, and the other girls kind of follow their lead while Cecile is getting arrested. What seems important when we learn about the problem? Well, the girls remember they're coming home with this Chinese food. They're alone in the house, eating their meal, and they're kind of wondering if Cecile's going to return. Delphine wants to clean up the mess the police raid left with in the kitchen with her mother's printer. Um, but she thinks her sisters won't go along with it, but they're too worried to disagree with her. So this last chapter connected to what we read earlier, because earlier in the book we learned that Hirohito Wood's father was arrested in a police raid where the door was busted down, and that he's still in jail. And so the girls are kind of wondering if that's what's going to happen to their mother, if Cecile is going to be in jail for a long time, kind of like Hirohito Wood's father. All right, let's remind ourselves of our lens as we read. So we got to be paying attention to characters, major and minor, their traits and relationships. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to the point of view of the narrator, how they feel about the different parts of the story. Any changes, we got to look out for changes in character traits or the plot, maybe the setting, or maybe the lessons that the characters are learning. And we have to be on the lookout for themes or lessons the characters are learning, or the maybe some universal lessons that we, the reader, can take away. I birthed a nation. I didn't care what Big Ma said about scrubbing like a gal from a one-cow town near Prattville, Alabama. Only turpentine could wipe away the black and red ink that had seeped into the linoleum floor tiles. I wiped up all the ink I could before we went to bed that night. Everything else, the paper, the metal letters, and the mess the police made, that would have to wait until we woke up. The day had just been too long. When I pushed the kitchen door open in the morning, the room didn't look any better. Streams of sunlight shot through Cecile's cheap curtains and pointed out, "Delphine, you got a whole lot of work to do. A lot, girl." I was set up to do it. Pick up, put away, clean, and mop everything. But I was still tired, which didn't make sense to me. I had slept even longer than usual, yet all I could do was sigh heavily when I saw the inside of Cecile's kitchen. Everything that made me tall, able, and ready to do what had to be done again made me sigh. I picked up the broken stool, the seat, legs, and scattered wood chips, then brought the pieces out to the trash can. There was nothing I could do about the printing machine. It was too heavy. I used all my strength to sit it upright on the floor. I wiped the rollers and laid them out on top of the machine. Then I called Vanetta and Fern out of bed and put them to work helping me. Without a squawk, Vanetta gathered up all the paper, and there was a heavy snowfall of paper. She made different piles. The scuffed and dirty papers went into one pile, the rally flyers into another. The sheets of poetry with Cecile's poet name and Zilla printed on the bottom went in another. Vanetta spent most of her time separating out the different poems, and in between she read them. I had Fern hunt around the floor for the middle letters and put them on the table where the printing machine once sat. I never realized how many metal letters Cecile had in the drawers and kitchen cabinets. She had boxes and boxes of them, large and small capitals and lowercase letters, different sizes and different types of T's, some boxy, some more curved, some slanted, but not like Hirohito's eyes, slanted like a leaning flower stem on a sunny day. Some O's and some Q's and C's, long and narrow, others round and squat, all sizes, all types, all over. Was this movable type like her poem, each letter free to be flung to all four corners? Then Fern found out two of Cecile's special letters, the one she used for her poetry name, the N and the Z. I found the I, L, and A. I polished those with a dish towel. These were a special type, tall and curved, hooks on the ends, the Z coiled back to strike like a snake. In all her collection, these were the only letters of this kind. I wouldn't be surprised if she had thrown out the other 21 letters, or if these were the only ones she'd bought, just so that only her name could be spelled out with these letters. I mopped the floor once, the papers, block letters, letter blocks and mess had been cleared away. We brought all of the letters and boxes into the living room and spread out the tablecloth. We spent the rest of the afternoon sorting through Cecile's letters. It was like a game, finding the right letters and right type, the right size. I put Inzila letters in one box by themselves. We didn't know if it was the right way, but at least it was a way. Vanetta took out one of Cecile's poems and read it to us. I think it's about us, Vanetta said. Look at the title. I birthed a nation. So this is interesting. The girls are kind of learning more about Cecile by cleaning up this mess through these printing press letters and her papers, and maybe they found a poem that might have been written about them. You might be right, I said. Surely might be. Vanetta said, we should do this poem. She read it again. It was a good poem for reciting out loud, the same way We Real Cool was a good poem for reciting. And then we joined her, each of us taking a line, one after the other. Then we chose our own stanza, but recited the last one together. We decided Cecile's poem was, in a way, like Dry Your Eyes. We decided that it was about Mother Africa losing her children, like Cecile had lost us. I didn't remind my sisters that Cecile had left us. So here the plot is getting interesting. I'm kind of wondering how Cecile is going to react to the girls reading her poem at the rally. And I'm wondering why the girls are choosing to recite her poem instead of maybe singing the song that they know, or just having the individual girls do different things, like read the Gwendolyn Brooks poem. Then there was a knock at the door and we froze. We remembered that we were in Cecile's green stucco house where the Black Panthers had come and the police had come and Cecile had been arrested, and we were supposed to be the Clark sisters down the street, not Cecile's daughters reciting her poems in her house. We became like spies. I mouthed, "Be quiet," and hoped whoever was at the door would go away. They knocked again. I put my finger to my lips. Then Vanetta popped her head and looked through the curtain. "It's Hirohito," she cried out, "with an Oriental lady." I didn't know what to be, mad at Vanetta for being her Hirohito crazy self, relieved it was Hirohito, nervous about the lady. I cracked the door open. Hirohito said loudly, "Open up, Delphine. It's me and my mom." His mother? I looked at my sisters. My sisters looked at me. Vanetta flapped her arms wildly, wanting me to open the door. I didn't want to, but I did it anyway. Hirohito's mother was holding a pan with tinfoil over it. Then I felt rude and stupid. "Hello," I said. "You can come in, but my mother isn't home." I had never said that to anyone before. My mother, in a real way. Vanetta and Fern were all smiles. I closed the door quickly after they stepped inside. "I know your mother isn't home, Delphine," Hirohito's mother said. "I know. She'll be home soon," I said. "Maybe tomorrow." The truth was, I didn't know anything about Cecile and why they had taken her or how long she would be gone. Look, my mom made this food and I'm hungry. Let's eat." To that, Mrs. Woods gave Hirohito a slap across his head and said something to him in Japanese. He said, "Mom, I'm hungry." I was embarrassed that we didn't have any tables or chairs, and I certainly didn't want that going around the center tomorrow. We had been laughed at enough for one summer. But Hirohito's mother didn't blink once when I said, "We always eat on the floor." She put the tins on the floor while I got the plates and forks and the biggest serving spoon I could find. Vanetta and Fern just giggled and kept asking Hirohito to say something in Japanese. He rolled his eyes. We sat down and ate fried pork chops, rice, and string beans. I wanted to eat nicely like Mrs. Woods ate, but I ate hungrily like Cecile. Hirohito ate hungrily also. He scooped more rice and string beans onto his plate, and seeing that I was nearly done, he scooped more rice and string beans onto mine. I couldn't look up at him. I just ate. So it's interesting here. Delphine wants to be polite and use her manners to eat, but she's starving and she's eating like Cecile. And I'm kind of wondering if there's a connection to more than just, her being hungry. Maybe she's more like Cecile than she realizes sometimes. Mrs. Wood said, "We know the same things. We have to stick together." All right, chapter 27. Let's do a summary. Who was in this chapter and what new things did we learn about them? What seems important and what are you learning about the problem? And how does this chapter connect to what we read earlier? And here's our question. What does Miss What does Mrs. Woods mean when she says, "We know the same things. We have to stick together"? Use true detailed text to support your response.